So, what distinguishes a good day from a bad day is whether your executive self is in charge. Now, executive self sounds a bit professional, but what it means is like your entire brain or the mind. There is a function called the executive function, which is in the frontal lobes, and yeah, in technical terms, it's in the prefrontal cortex. But the capacity of us to be in flow is intimately connected to the ability to control our processing units, control our units of attention, and to strengthen the executive self. So this there are four, or there are eight, shall I say, eight major components, and we'll discuss some of them. It happens when you take on an activity that is challenging and requires skill, and you are concentrating fully on what you are doing in the moment. Three, the activity has clear goals. Four, the activity provides immediate feedback. Five, there is deep involvement. And there is more awareness of yourself in that moment. And the removal of frustrations and worries in your life. And there is a sense of control. And this is very important because we need to understand that we have to understand there is the self-consciousness disappears and the sense of time is altered. So people, when they are in flow, mention at least one of these things, or often all of the above. So when they describe such experiences, so you take on an activity that is challenging and requires a skill. You're most likely to enter flow experience when you take on something which is really challenging. And that is very important. So we will go into that. Before that, I want to answer a question which is raised. I think there's an interesting question. How to stay calm? How to stay calm prior to a small operation on my face this afternoon? Wow, that's a it keeps trying to work out how it'll be, and but it's unknown. Yeah, I think there is. First of all, wishing you all the very best, and yeah, it is something which we which we need to do, and we need to acknowledge it. Staying connected, wonderful. Thank you, Tina, for explaining that, and that's really amazing. Yeah, to connect it with yourself, your body, acknowledging those emotions, acknowledging that this is these emotions are valid, and it is something which you cannot shun away. I think it is important to acknowledge it, but also to acknowledge that the trust in yourself, in your body, and in the people who are going to look after you, and that wishing you yourself well and a speedy recovery from the operation is something which you can do. So practicing mindfulness of the breath, practicing loving kindness, practicing compassion, writing writing down what your thoughts are, maybe processing them externally, putting it outside, maybe through words or drawing or some sort of visual expression, if that works for you. So trying something different in terms of processing what you might be going through. And yeah, how to stay calm is coming back to what is happening right here, right now, accepting whatever is happening in this moment fully, consciously, with gratitude for whatever is happening. So, the things which you are going through right now, with a sense of loving kindness to yourself. So, that's how I think you can you can that's somehow that's one thing you can do. So staying connected with your breath, one breath at a time. And good luck with your operation today, and hope everything goes well. And we are all here to support you in your journey. Thank you, Jenny, for being so vulnerable and expressing it. So really appreciate that. Now, Liz asks, the flow experience doesn't seem to be quite the same for, yes, for neurodivergent individuals. This is true. Lose track of time and get totally absorbed. I think underlying anxiety is the issue. Uh, yes, considering there are so many different aspects, the flow generalized to neurotypical individuals is what we mentioned just now. But there is also a lot of people who show symptoms of hyperactivity. They are really immersed in these activities. They lose track of time. You're right, and they get totally absorbed, and they are in a flow state while that is happening. The difficulty, for example, in ADHD and things like that, is they are not able to do that to things which uh, to everything in their life. So there are some things which they do it, and the other things they are not able to. And this is not a fault. This is again, it comes down to uh, the attention and the how you are able to direct attention. And yeah, so it is different for different individuals. None of these things kind of work the same for every individual. So it is important to understand that in any practice, any practice. So yeah, so understanding flow doesn't just mean that it works for every single person. So yeah, box breathing is a wonderful exercise for helping you uh, calm yourself down. Yeah, longer exhales always help. Longer exhales always help. And yes, so that's a good question. Really appreciate that. So yeah, thank you for a box. Um, you breathe in a box. No, no, sorry, not breathe in a box. You breathe like four, hold for 6, let go for 8, and then hold for 6, and then so it's like a box in that way. That is what is called as box breathing. Do not do not confuse with a physical box. Yeah, so yeah, let's. So the idea of flow is an interesting one, in my opinion. I think the crucial aspect of flow is the activity should provide meaningful feedback. For an activity to flow, you need to immediately get some feedback as to whether you are succeeding or not. So by attending closely to this immediate feedback, you know what your next move is. So this is one thing which often doesn't get talked about in flow literature, or when we talk about flow, when we kind of traverse the paths of flow and how it is good for you. We don't usually think, oh, is this helping, or is this not good for me? And if you're on stage, for example, giving a speech, how is the audience reacting? How do you know when to speed up, when to slow down. And this immediate feedback gives us more engagement, and that actually drives more flow. So that's one aspect. And yeah, and if you're reading to your child, for example, how fully and enjoyably is the child attending the story? Do you need to keep going or stop to explain? So these are kind of the things we sometimes just mindlessly just keep talking, thinking that this is helpful without actually noticing what the feedback is. And skilled parents are similarly very attuned. For example, they set out with a clear vision of what a responsible, successful, loving 18-year-old might look like, for example, and then seem to know what feedback to look out for along the way. I know this is very general, I mean, individual variances apply, so do not take this word because I don't have an 18-year-old. So it is just from what I'm understanding that there this constant monitoring progress against like long term goals and then making adjustments is very important aspect of flow. And the other aspect of flow which is very interesting for me is the awareness or the removal of awareness of frustrations and worries of everyday life. So when you get involved in something and then you notice that you've just forgotten the world, and that is often a great sign. In flow, what you are doing becomes your whole world in the moment. We can never understand what we are doing while we are doing it, and that's another crucial aspect of flow is while we are doing it, we are not knowing that we are doing this thing. We are not consciously, oh, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. It just happens. So why does flow make us happy? Why does flow makes us happy? So if the challenge of what we are doing falls below some level, we begin to relax and we become bored. So it is a constant battle between boredom and being anxious. If the challenge exceeds our level, then we become anxious and immediately become self-conscious and fragmenting our energies into different directions. So to recognize when you are in flow, how you need to find challenges in your daily lives, learn how to set appropriate goals, develop disciplined attention and concentration, develop rituals to keep your mind calm, learn how to enjoy immediate experience, and develop your capacity for commitment. A commitment being the strong word. So, great day if your productive and creative journey would be available for you. If facilitating flow became part of your daily agenda. So, many of us to be turn out not to be that good at identifying what creates flow experience, apparently. So we rely on our retrospective accounts of what we thought were deeply absorbing and enjoyable. And these accounts are like often distortions in memory or by what we think we are expected or to have enjoyed. So this is something which we do counter sorry, retrospectively. We call the sunshine on holidays, but edit out the stress of traveling, the mosquitoes, the interpersonal tensions. So this is important to understand. People are asked to, yeah, there's a lot of literature here. So it's interesting to see what it happens when we are seriously in flow. So hope that gives you some flavor of what flow means and how it can help. There's so lots more to discuss. I won't go into too much detail. Uh, and learn to find challenges and set goals in your daily activities that create a sense of flow. So if there are things which you feel, this stuff which I'm doing right now is helping me, or is making me in a state of flow, yeah, try to double down on them and work towards bringing them. And yeah, very important. So that's a little bit of an insight into flow. So if there's any other questions, any thoughts which arise, and want us to just engage with it, I invite you to ask them. And if there's any questions for me personally, also, I am more than happy to engage. Yeah, thank you, Jana, for highlighting that.